Thank you for joining Discover Your Woo. Today we're going to talk about something that a lot of people may not be real familiar with, but hopefully you are. It's called spiritual bypassing. Spiritual bypassing. What is that? What is spiritual bypassing? Um, a lot of people, when they wake up or they start to wake up and begin that spiritual journey, um, and they start to move along that path and they start to learn new things. It becomes for a lot of people a series of new, it seems like anyway, a series of new baubles. Um, we simply jump from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, because it grabs our attention and it's interesting. And it's like finding a new little ring or a new little piece of jewelry that is sparkly and it has our attention until there's a new piece of jewelry over there, over there. Look it over there. There's a new piece. Look at that. That's all shiny and new. And ooh, I love it. I love it. This is what is really comes down to as spiritual bypassing. It's a kind of a false way of building what spirituality is all about. What we think is we begin to build a false sense of security and happiness while we're actually avoiding the very things that need to happen to take us on this spiritual journey. Not everything when it comes to a spiritual journey is wonderful and a bauble and it's, ooh, great, this is neat. Sometimes there's work. Most of the time there is work. It's one of those things. I've seen some memes where they kind of talk about, they give you this picture of waking up to this new spiritual thing, and it's like falling down a cliff going getting knocked around, because you're going through a process of actually really waking up, and waking up to a deeper sense of reality. So what we do when we actually go on that spiritual journey, as we awaken, we begin to have to deal with our shadow aspects, the parts of ourselves that we've hidden from ourselves, the parts of ourselves that are buried deep in the unconscious parts of ourselves, so that we don't have to deal with them. All those things that we didn't like, that were hard for us, that were experiences that were negative, we think of as being very negative towards us. Um, we bury them. We tend to quite often bury them or carry them around in a way that keeps us very limited. And so when you start to wake up, when you start to spiritually wake up, you have to start to deal with those shadow aspects. Those have to come out and be placed in the light so that you can see them, you can deal with them, come to an understanding about them, and grow through that understanding, rather than having them buried and we just don't deal with them. And then sometimes they come out in the most inopportune and wrong times where it just doesn't even fit. We'll get angry about something we've been triggered by that's in our shadow self. The ego will bring it forth, and so we end up as a way to kind of protect ourselves, just putting all those things in the shadow and just not dealing with them. And so that's kind of spiritual bypassing is what happens. And so we never really go deeply. Spiritual bypassing is where we never go deeply into what it is that brings us this great movement forward on this spiritual path, because there is a lot of hard work that is involved. So when you get on the other end of it, though, it's joyful in nature. When you get to where you come to an understanding about those things that were hard, they begin then to sort of fade away. They just kind of fade away, like they weren't ever there in the first place, like smoke. But they're like a monster in a dream that's chasing after you if you've never dealt with them, if they stay in the unconscious. So what we want to do is bring them out. We want to bring them so we can see them, not do the spiritual bypassing. Don't just pass it over. Don't just go from one spiritual kind of new toy to the next new toy, new thing that I've learned. you want to actually find something that is bringing you to a deeper understanding of you, going inward, okay? That's it for today. You have a great day. Thank you for joining us.